Oh, I've heard.
It's not very newsworthy.
It will be in a few seconds.
Gas cloud appears over northeast Scotland.
Okay.
Nobody can see you.
Oh.
Thank fuck.
Thanks, Dad.
I was meaning more me, but you know. I got a cough. Still got a fucking cough. Maybe I'm dying.
Are you okay?
No.
I look like I've been
Shut
on a
yourself.
desert island for the last month. I'll probably sound like it too.
And Brexit didn't even happen.
No. A lovely Halloween present.
Did you see the zombie Theresa May pictures?
I just generally think Theresa May looks like a zombie, but was she like really tired and...
Oh, they just put like photoshopped her into like a zombie for Halloween. Anyway, shall we start?
I saw an article saying Halloween Brexit fitting for Zombie May.
Hallo-Brexit.
That sounds too cool. Scream as you have to listen to 500 pages of trade agreements. Ah!
Go, let's start.
Okay, fine. I'll save my good material for the actual podcast. Thank you. You're an asshole. That wasn't that funny.
Oh, sorry, I thought that was your good material.
Prick. You're just jealous of me.
I am. Do the thing. Let's get this party started.
Okay, well,
Are you going to get frustrated now and angry with
I
me?
can't-
I haven't wound you up for a while. Come on,
can't-
start.
I can't start it if you keep talking.
Start.
Shut up, man. I do this.
I will if you
every-
get on with it.
Fuck off. Why do you torture me?
Because it's fun.
I'm being silent now so I can actually get my game face.
Game face.
Jinx. I better say your name 3 times, otherwise I'll have to do this podcast
No,
by myself.
fuck off.
Upda. Okay. No, shut up.
Dick.
You didn't say Jinx. Hello, and shut up. This is not going before the opener.
Oh, yes it is.
Hello, Internet. I'm Firebolt.
And I am the Orbiter.
And welcome to episode 8 of the Bollocks Report.
Hello there.
Now, last time we had a bit of a tiff at the end. We tried to...
No, I edited it out.
Well, yeah, editing magic means that you, innocent people don't have to listen to us.
So either you've just blown my efforts or I'll have to edit this out as well.
No,
You get the tiff over with now.
well, it's just for like... No, shut up. It's just for, just for honesty purposes, because we've been told that we're meant to be, like, open or something. That's apparently our shtick.
Open for business.
No. Anyway, so that was over the length of the last one and the one before.
That's
that.
what she said.
I mean, shut up. The episode 6, that was mainly because we had a guest and they are very talkative. Not that I didn't enjoy that episode, but it was a very long
He's got one of his own now, but I'll put that in the other news later on.
Okay. Yeah, so basically now I've just arranged things a little more. So
I'm not
that
as young as I used to be, so my stamina's not what it used to be.
I've arranged it so it's easier
Right.
to keep concise
Once-
and have
once-
things roughly similar, sort of
Once it gets
Linked
past
to
a
each
certain
other.
point,
as one thing.
my brain dies.
Yeah, you
I
just
give
very
up.
much
I
just,
fall off a cliff.
like you just like very
Shut
much just lose patience.
Well, that's it. I can't be asked after a while. And maybe that's indicative of, how long people can be asked to listen to us for as well.
I'm a steady curve down. You're a sheer cliff drop,
Meow.
like the pound. Anyway, let's get on
Dog
with our
pound.
first segment.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, we're gonna. We're as a result of that. Oh, right. I'm sorry. I'll shut up so that I can do the little tune thing.
boy.
Thank you.
Welcome to the news breakdown. If you've listened
It's the
before,
news rundown.
rundown. Oh shit! I'm so professional. This is going great. Welcome to the news rundown. If you've not been with us before, clearly I haven't. This is where we just go over the news that's happened since we last recorded this thing.
Yeah, which has been the same shit for God knows how long. But
so I've now organised it into broad categories consisting of UK politics, Brexit, world news, science and technology, US politics, and weird news.
So, shall we dive into UK politics then?
Let's. Shall I begin?
Let's.
Shall I begin?
Yes, I mean, let you.
Shut the fuck up. I said shut the fuck up.
I hope your girlfriend's here. I'm sorry.
You should apologise to my hypothetical girlfriend.
You're hypothetical.
I don't have a girlfriend.
Oh dear.
Don't know what you've been.
I was actually going to say mine's here, but I thought it would get me in trouble with the missus. So.
Plus, I would tell her. Anyway, yeah. Ian Duncan Smith urges Theresa May to quit next month. You read the next bit and then
Jeremy Corbyn concerned evidence was ignored in anti-Semitism row.
Jeremy Corbyn on course to become Prime Minister as Tories collapse in polls.
Shamima Begum was an enforcer in morality police squad, say witnesses. Corrections.
Was an enforcer.
I'm sure it's two M's in Shamima as well. Shamima. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking Jemima.
It's not.
Okay.
Boris Johnson back in the running for leader as Tories try to appease Leave voters.
And calls by MPs to extradite Assange to Sweden.
Right, so we'll deal with party politics. First of all, Tories.
Cunts.
Yeah, but who's your who's the one that you hate the least?
Of the Tories? She's left.
Oh, Anna Soubry. But I mean out of people that are actually contesting for leadership.
I don't know. Because I don't like any of them, really. I just don't trust them. I mean, you don't trust politicians in general, but you know what I mean? It is party politics, but to me, anyone who is still content to be honest, to identify themselves with the Conservative Party doesn't deserve support.
To be honest,
because they've wrecked the country.
All of them, the most sensible, even though still being a Tory and still being responsible for a lot of the budget, the current, I think it's Secretary for the Treasury, First Chancellor, Philip Hammond, actually seemed relatively level-headed, at least. He's not completely bonkers.
But you just sort of think, if they were that level-headed, they'd be fucking off somewhere else, because they've just made a mess of the country, in my book. What
do you think about Jeremy Corbyn maybe becoming Prime Minister?
I wouldn't have a problem with it at all. I think he's. I know you've gone off him a bit recently, haven't you?
I'm a bit disillusioned by him because
I try to read between the lines, because every time I see a negative news item about him, which I have seen, the anti-Semitism thing,
I just think
flaring up again this week. Yeah. I'm just thinking, who in the Tories put that one out, or who, it's as soon as there's any chance of any kind of leadership election type thing going on, it's suddenly all the smearing comes out. And I'm not talking about Assange.
Oh, yeah, we'll get to that. I found it...
But I thought it was a bit despicable, I thought it was tenuous at best, the link, because the anti-Semitism thing was approached from two different standpoints, wasn't it? Some people were saying, he's admitted that there's been information mislaid, so that's proof that they're not dealing with the situation properly. Whereas when you actually listen to what he said, it was it can, it just in every way seemed to me like he was acknowledging that mistakes can be made, and he wanted to make sure that he did everything to to try and
for once
combat that.
I think he's just a politician, and that he didn't seem like a politician to a lot of people. So now a lot of people have gotten a bit angry with him. That's the main thing. The Tories have been let away with this. I mean, this isn't our whataboutism. I still think anti-Semitism in the Labour Party should be solved, and I think it's a problem. I just don't think Jeremy Corbyn's personally responsible.
It just pisses me off when religious issues get into politics.
Yeah.
But then it pisses me off when religious issues get into anything. So
yeah.
I love the way you say that. Your tone of voice, whenever I start slagging off religion, you go, yeah. Like, it's almost like you're apologising but agreeing with me.
Well, I want to slightly apologise to like religious listeners and stuff, but look up shit. Try and question your beliefs. Just saying. Shamina Begum, quickly. Basically...
I've just got this picture in my head of her just like running past the window now.
An enforcer.
Oh, sorry.
And I saw something else. Apparently, she sewed people into suicide.
Yeah, I read that. But again, this is a really difficult podcast to do because I don't believe anything that I read in the press.
I feel like you're
got
just like overly paranoid at this point.
It's not paranoid. It's just like I've given up on the press. But we've got to at least comment
this
on it,
is from Evening Standard, by the way. There were some more sensationalist articles from our personal favourite, The Express.
I think it's like anything, isn't it, online, especially nowadays, or in any way, that whenever you read anything, you have to consider the source.
But I definitely think she probably, played some part.
Evidence she was over there, what, about 3 years?
Yeah. Reasonably, she played some part. But she still can't be left stateless. It's kind of ironic. Legally can't be left stateless, so should just.
If both of those articles, if both of those news items are true, then not only is she an enforcer in a morality police squad, but she's sewing suicide vests onto people at the same time.
You go, girl.
It's a little, shall we say, hypocritical. I know that's not often a word that's associated with religion, but.
ISIS being hypocritical? No way. Anyway, I just think she should be in prison where, well, either in the Netherlands if they accept her, or over here if no one else accepts her, because that's literally our responsibility.
Is she now, anyway?
No idea.
She's probably just like sort of.
She might be back in the UK already. We might be yelling about nothing.
She's treading water in the English Channel.
Okay, we got some other stories on Assange to do more with Ecuador, but this is mainly, I think it's 70 MPs signed a letter to extradite Assange to Sweden on 2 charges of sexual assault, I believe it was.
Yeah, that's a weird one because Sweden had actually dropped those charges.
No.
They had?
No, the time had ran out because he missed bail, or jumped bail. That's actually the reason that the charges were dropped.
All right, because I saw his lawyer on TV saying that Sweden had... Well, yeah, but we're talking about news reports from the media about politics, so who do you trust?
Fair enough. It's just which liar seems the most trustworthy.
But yeah, interesting. It's interesting. To be honest, I would rather he was sent to Sweden than definitely. The US. But having said that,
the US have ulterior. The US just want him because they sold their dirty secrets. He aired their dirty laundry for the world to see, and they don't like when people do that, and that's why Edward Snowden.
I can't remember who it was, but I did actually, for the first time in quite a while, I did actually think, I did feel proud to be British for a few moments when somebody said. About the extradition to the potential extradition to the US, they'd said that we are not in the habit of extraditing people to countries where they may face the death penalty.
Although they're very happy to turn away asylum seekers.
Yeah, that's.
who faced death in
I did say it was
humorous
just for a
from
few
Pakistan.
seconds. Yeah.
One of the tests that they used was asking him to name philosophers.
Did we miss a week out about the? It might be on World News actually, but I'm not sure if it's come up in the last 2 weeks or not about the stoning of adulterers and gay people. Oh, it was the Sultan of Brunei, wasn't it? Was that in the last 2 weeks?
I don't know, but very much condemn it. I think we mentioned it in some podcast at some point.
Yeah. So, should we move on to that?
Brexit is the next category.
I see it's been extended for another 6 months, the season.
Mm-hmm.
People were thinking it was going to get cancelled, but viewers are happy to see it's been renewed for another 6 month season.
I haven't actually got any stories specifically because I was doing this all today and trying to find various bits. And Microsoft News today decided to have a fit and show me articles from March. So I don't know. I was just trying to find something relevant. So I didn't actually get anything on the little spat between Macron and Merkel.
Oh, right, yeah.
I think Macron was trying to say that if we have an extension, a long extension, then we shouldn't be allowed to have a say in European Parliament.
Oh, okay, hang on. Sorry.
Orbs is just getting a tissue.
Yeah, I wasn't doing a Craig on you.
We'll get to that, maybe.
In other news.
If you don't know who Craig is, it's one of the people in our podcast network. Anyway, so on to the actual stories that I've got here. We can talk a little bit about that afterwards. Okay, Corbyn told to back second referendum or lose millions of supporters.
Yeah, who is this he was told this by? I know it's somebody within the Labour Party, wasn't it? Was this an individual or the Labour? Do they have like a board of directors or something, or a committee?
Here?
Or
do you have Microsoft News here?
What is Microsoft News? Is it an app?
Oh, I think this might have been from Google.
I know I have seen that article, but I couldn't remember who it was that's.
Yeah. Well, it might just be the polls.
Told him that.
Because I remember we did a story. I sound so journalistic.
Because current polls are seeing the Tories 60 seats down, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, that's what I was meaning with Jeremy Corbyn possibly becoming Prime Minister. I mean, if he can stop feuding with Nicola Sturgeon, it's quite feasible.
Yeah, I would very much. I think I said this. We were discussing this the other day, weren't we? I would love to see a coalition between the Greens, Labour, SNP, and the Lib Dems.
Yeah, I agree with parts of each of them. I don't think enough people will get behind Vince Cable, to be honest, because he's not very lively, and you kind of need a character in modern day politics. It's unfortunate. Yeah. Policy should matter more, but I've not heard anything from the Lib Dems for ages.
But, I mean, it's almost at the point where I'm thinking, do you know, this Brexit malarkey might all have actually been worth it if it ends the Tories. Because I sincerely believe they're far more damaging to the country than Europe. But then so is our
they seem
voting
on
system.
The verge of implosion. Both parties kind of do.
Yeah.
Here we go. I'll find out.
The only thing I'm slightly worried about is Farage at the moment, because obviously
told by Richard Corbett, leader of the Labour MEPs.
Oh, the European Parliament. Yeah, okay. See, that's going to be a really interesting thing. That's, what is it, 23rd of May, is it? 22nd of May? Not sure. The deadline for MEP.
I think it's 22nd. Yeah, because it was 21st, so we didn't have European elections.
And we've got this. It's going to be a very interesting. I'm actually going to pay close attention to the European Parliament elections and which I think a lot of people will, and I'm worried.
I think you probably should have in the past, though.
Yeah,
because not paying attention to that is why
Farage got in.
And a lot of other people are rising up in Europe that want to see the European Union dissolved or whatever.
So maybe this has been a warning sign to those who are happy to leave Europe to be as it is.
The wishes to leave the European Union have vaguely gone down across Europe, which is I guess
they're probably shitting themselves.
I mean, I don't like that we have to be the head on a spike to deter everyone else, but if it keeps Europe together.
That's kind of that's Nick Clegg in the last government, isn't it?
Cleggy waggy. Anyway, there's more on Brexit here. We should probably get to those stories.
Yeah, sorry. Majid. What?
No, your
Majid.
Second one.
Hammond says May will stay for Brexit.
Greens Party, Majid plans to run for MEP.
May defends extension to October 31st to MPs.
Corbyn calls it scandalous that cross-party Brexit talks came so late.
And Hammond defends spending billions of pounds on Brexit.
Okay, should I explain who Majid is first?
Yeah, it's a nice name.
They're, I think, a Somalian refugee who's now the mayor of Sheffield, and they're very anti-Trump and also in the Green Party. So, and also, my favourite thing about them, when they were sworn into office, they played the Imperial March.
Cool.
They seem like a cool team.
Hammond says May will stay for Brexit and defends spending billions of pounds on it. I don't know. Don't know what's that. Is it gonna happen? Is it even gonna happen?
Some of the spending's been on general Brexit stuff, and a fair chunk of that's been to do with no deal preparations, which are kind of now wasted. But it's good to have someone there backing it up. But I did recently see a story. I haven't got a source for this, so sorry if it's not exactly accurate. In terms of economic growth damage, 66 billion is what's happened because of this whole shambles.
I was just about to say, because I mean, this extension to October the 31st, I was just about to say, is it December that she's got until her 12 months are up for another challenge of no confidence anyway?
Yeah.
But I did read, it was either today or yesterday, that the Tories are actually thinking about rewriting their rules just so that they can get rid of that. So that
I feel like that's a little bit shady, but then
hasn't it all been? I mean, the fact that she's brought the same motion back to Parliament 4 times is kind of rewritten the rules.
Keep May and let her defend this shambles as long as she can, and then the Tories look awful.
Yeah, she can take them all down with her.
Yeah, because all the dickheads will go down with her, because Brexit Party's not going anywhere.
I noticed, what's his name? Rees-Mogg's sister is running as an MEP.
For the Brexit Party.
For the Brexit Party, yeah.
He said that he sort of sees the reasoning behind it, but that doesn't agree with what the outcomes are, something like that. Yeah. I don't really care what Rees-Mogg thinks. He's a cunt.
But as I say, the thing that worries me about Farage's speech the other day when he was announcing the Brexit Party opening, if you like, starting up in Coventry, this was, that a lot of what he was saying fitted perfectly with what a lot of people want, and it just worries me that people will latch onto that. I just hope that, because he was just basically saying that our parliament's democracy is a broken system, and we need democratic revolution, which is true.
I think they're taking
not his.
I think they're taking the fact that people are fed up with Parliament as a sign that people are angry about wanting Brexit, but quite a lot of those people are just fed up with the news stream and would quite like Remain to actually happen.
Well, I think people on all sides are fed up with Parliament, aren't they?
You shouldn't be taking we're fed up with Parliament as that meaning, we're fed up with Parliament not letting Brexit happen. And anyone trying to say, Brexit's not Brexit if it's not no deal, because I'm saying this because I saw Piers Morgan tweet. This is usually what makes me angry. um, about like not staying in bits of the EU, but the referendum was just on being a member.
I know, and I hope this doesn't make me sound like an old fogey, but I've never. I'm just getting into Twitter now, and how, because I've been an old fart with Facebook for a long time. But
turn back now.
But
enter at your own peril.
I just think it's just wrong for people to be enacting politics on Twitter. Do you know what I mean? Like Trump tweeting stuff that is directed at other politicians.
I would definitely.
This needs to be done.
Yeah.
Or diplomatically behind closed doors.
One of the most worrying things is when he does, like, I think when he. I don't think he'd actually been allowed to. When he tried to ban transgenders from the military, he announced it in a free section tweet. I think
he's not banned them, but he has now announced that he's forcing them to serve in their biological gender role, as opposed to the one they identify with. But he's saying it's not for any kind of prejudiced reason. It's purely a money-saving exercise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, they spent more on Viagra for troops.
Did they?
Last year.
Where do I sign up?
42 million they spent on
Not
Viagra
that I need
for
it.
troops. Spent way less on transgender surgeries, so that is straight up bullshit. But what else do we expect from troops?
Why do troops need Viagra?
I don't know. That's the thing. 42 million on that, and they're saying, oh, it's too much to spend on transgender surgeries.
Maybe their weapons are going limp.
Just screaming into battle with erection. That'll scare the enemy. It's what the old German hordes used to do. Like before Germany was actually a thing.
Anyway, shall we move on?
Macron and Merkel quickly.
What, both at the same time? Oh, there's an image.
2 leaders, 1 person.
With Theresa May cracking the whip.
Oh. No. I'm having flashbacks to our 200th video special. Anyway,
I must have blacked that out because I couldn't remember what you were talking about. But carry on.
Anyway,
maybe
we played Fuck, Marry, Kill.
Oh yeah. No, it was your sister was the worst one with that. When we were playing Mario Kart that time.
What?
And we were talking about how we all hated Princess Peach.
Right.
I'm not going to go into any detail, but it did involve what's the little mushroomy thing? Toadstool called? Toad. Yeah. Being the master of a.
No. I think a lot of Brexiteers will like seize onto Macron being a bit dickish, but
yeah, he's come through the middle, hasn't he? As it were.
In
the two big parties there.
Year or so, things have like with the Yellow Vest protest, things have kind of gone a bit south.
Well, that's the thing. Is this not what's going to be happening here? Because our two main parties are pretty much collapsing. Is another party going to come through the middle and take?
Well, SNP is the third largest party, and they haven't got any ability to get seats in England. Not that they would get them anyway, but
no. It would be good.
Lib Dems aren't powerful enough to do that right now.
SNP need to be prepared.
It's just going to be a political mess.
Actually, SNP are not going to be interested in coalition because they're so bent on independence, aren't they?
I think they're more interested in coalition than people are giving them credit for.
But then, see what happens if they go into coalition with the government and potentially form a fairly strong government. Are they not then stuck without any independence possibility for 5 years?
I don't know. They'll probably make some arrangements. Like they might do competence.
Having said that, would not coalition in Westminster be a way of Nicola Sturgeon giving Scotland permission to hold an independence referendum?
After the general election, after like the next cycle, because it's going to take that long for that to come around anyway.
Yeah. Get him on the inside. I mean, they got Nigel Farage on the inside in Europe
Yeah.
to fuck things up.
I mean, I don't think SNP are trying to fuck things up in Britain. They just want to leave Britain because it's already fucked up.
Yeah.
Anyway, probably should move on to world news before we
Indeed
spend too long talking about this. Okay, this is sort of more loosely connected stories, I suppose. So we probably will talk about these a bit more separately.
Okay, so we've got Assange's lawyer calls Ecuadorian embassy's allegations outrageous.
Sudan's new leader promises civilian government amidst deadly protests.
Ivanka Trump in Africa to promote women at work program.
Russia's secret nuclear plant offer to North Korea revealed.
Mystery group breaks into Spain's North Korean embassy to reveal intelligence.
New World Bank chief confirms commitment to environment.
And Seychelles President Danny Faure calls on world to save oceans.
Not bad pronunciation. I don't know how it's pronounced, but that was a good guess.
Well, there's a composer called Faure, but he's got an accent on the last E. I just wondered if you'd maybe. I don't know if it's supposed to be for or Faure. Faure is the composer's.
I don't know. Anyway, so first of all, Assange again. Now, there's been quite a few allegations about the reason that he's actually been kicked out is that not because he was still doing spying and stuff from the embassy, I don't think, is because he was apparently misbehaving quite a lot in the embassy.
There were 2 acts, weren't there, mentioned?
There's a few acts mentioned.
There were 2 I'd heard of.
2 of the most interesting ones were, well, most outrageous allegations, I suppose. Smearing shit on the walls and skateboarding in the corridors.
I think the smearing shit on the walls is probably more serious. But there was something to do with his cat as well. Did you see the pictures of his cat with the tie on?
Yes, we'll get to that. That's in our weird news.
But, all right, okay. But, see, there's a couple of... Whether or not this is true, one thing did occur to me. I mean, there's people sort of saying, "Oh, yeah, well, you know, this is outrageous behaviour. He should have been kicked out and stuff like that." But I'm just trying to imagine what it would be because I mean, looking at the pictures, the place is basically a flat, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm
and
wondering
he's been in
why,
there for
though.
7 years. I think I'd be going. I mean, I might not be smearing shit on the walls, but I'd certainly be going a bit loopy being in the same flat for 7 years. And you might say,
do you
"Well,
think
he had
he's
a
actually
choice."
just lost it?
I don't see how you can stay completely sane. I mean,
I suppose it's basically a prison, but look, you don't find a lot of. I suppose like he's not actually been outside for 7 years.
I mean, I know what I'm like if I'm cooped up in the house for less than a week. You know.
Yeah.
It's although I must admit to finding it quite amusing. Just the pictures of him being carried out. I don't necessarily agree or disagree with the fact that he's been arrested.
I think he definitely should be arrested for sexual assault, but I totally agree that.
Well, this is what I was sorry, but
I mean, it might endanger like intelligence operatives, but if the US and other governments are doing shady stuff, it's freedom of information.
I don't know.
The world has the right to know.
I don't know if this was just my sort of reading into things, but I just when that originally came out about the Swedish allegations, as soon as it happened, the timing of it just seemed really spot on in terms of. I just thought, oh, for fuck's sake, it just felt like America was just coming up with something to extradite him for.
I don't like
at that time
sort of assumption that because I mean I believe these allegations were made before this, like long before, and that's why he was skipping bail.
Oh, I'd not heard anything about the allegations until it all came to a head with America, when he was basically. They were after him, and then suddenly, and maybe it's just because I wasn't following the news closely, but it seemed to suddenly come out of the blue on
I think a lot of this is because they realise that, well, now that person's actually got some power, maybe I should say something.
Right. Yeah.
Just bring out the truth, say, well, this person's maybe not the hero he's cracked up to be. He raped me. Or whatever he did under sexual assault.
I'm not sure I
Believe
buy that
sexual
because-
assault survivors, please.
No, well, I'm not saying I don't believe them. I'm just saying that what I'm meaning is that your argument about that kind of would work the other way for me, because the more somebody came into the public eye, if I was a victim of an assault, I think if I hadn't had the guts to come forward about it before, when they were a nobody, I think them being in the public eye would make me even less.
Well, it's like with
to come forward.
there's
I'd be more scared too.
Supreme Court justices that have been under investigation for sexual assault. They're now sitting in the Supreme Court. Both of the times, their allegations were just put off as, oh, it's time to be political. But they were real. It's just because they don't want that person getting into a position of power and potentially lobbying on that sort of thing. I know Julian Assange isn't in the government, but it's still a sort of de facto position of authority leading WikiLeaks. Being able to influence politics.
I don't disbelieve allegations. I don't automatically believe them either. But I suppose what I'd be concerned about would be anyone using that as ammunition. Do you know what I mean? Like if somebody wants to come forward with information like that for themselves, then that's fair enough. But if they're being encouraged by, I don't know, Sweden or America to come forward for political reasons.
Well, there's always going to be political reasons when allegations like this come out about someone in power. And it might just be that actually these allegations more came out as they became in power because someone managed to find this dirt on him.
Yeah, maybe.
And they were trying to talk to people about it before, but nobody was listening because it's just like, well, this person isn't of interest.
Yeah, good point. Maybe.
So these stories have now gained attention. I don't know the specific stories. I'm just sort of trying to understand the position. I think it was 2 women were in.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, don't misunderstand me. I'm not calling anyone a liar. It's just sometimes, and I know people want things like this to be reported, but sometimes people choose not to report it, and for good reasons, for their own good reasons.
I mean, yeah, the main person that came out against Brett Kavanaugh had to move house, quit their job. They got death threats constantly. It's a scary thing to do. I don't know if Assange's fans are that militant. Hopefully not. But as far as I know, the charges were actually dropped because they ran out of time because he skipped bail.
Yeah.
Okay, next bit. Sudan. They've basically had a revolution.
Yeah. Sorry, there was something. This happens every 20 or 30 years with them, doesn't it?
Well, in 2010, actually, South Sudan gained independence. And they've been, I think, slightly... I'm not sure. I think there's been some war with them. Sudan's not really something that's in the news very much.
Is it not because they've had a military kind of...
I think they did have a military coup. Or I think, actually, the military are trying to sort of jump on the bandwagon with this revolution.
I've just got this picture of a load of soldiers with trombones and trumpets and stuff on the back of a jeep.
Anyway,
oh, when the saints...
Shut up.
Party poppers. Cannons.
Shut up.
Sorry.
But something that I learned that I had no idea about whilst doing Model UN for my English class is because someone else was France. Something that I'd never heard about is that they've got quite a problem of child prostitution in Sudan.
Oh, right, okay.
That France is trying to stop.
What's the link with France?
Well, France generally likes to stop child prostitution.
Yeah, I know, but
it's not generally for it.
Yeah, but why them as opposed to us or America or Germany? Is Sudan, because I know France has like Spain has a high presence in sort of South America. Does France have?
They might have, because I think quite a lot of the time they have sort of like partner programs.
Yeah,
where they'll sort of say, "Oh, well, this country."
Or what I was getting at, I suppose,
it was just the French team brought it up.
Right. I was just wondering whether
Although it was kind of funny because I was
if they were
representing Russia and I suggested a military
Should we talk over each other lots?
Yeah. Just going there with the middle.
Okay, let's carry on then. So were they maybe exporting exporting child prostitutes to France is what I was saying.
I don't think so. I just think the French team brought it up. It was an issue of worldly concern.
I almost laughed when this next item came up.
Ivanka Trump in Africa to promote Women at Work program.
What does she do as a job?
I think he might be like Secretary of the Interior or something. Some ridiculous nepotism role. She's sort of a de facto advisor to Trump, and her husband did it in so many jobs that I think he's lost track of them.
Okay.
Most notably, trying to find peace in the Middle East.
Trying to find it. It's
basically the filler for all the people that have left during the Trump thing. But I guess it's good that she's promoting that. I just don't think she's ever actually worked a day in her life, so it's a bit hypocritical. Russia's secret nuclear plant off to North Korea revealed.
Who by?
I think it was US intelligence operatives, and then it maybe got leaked. It was something that was offered in 2018, late 2018.
Oh, North Korea. Would you like a nuclear plant? A secret one? And don't tell the Americans.
Well, they found it out. It was a secret deal. So, but...
Well, I think there was always rumour that Russia was...
Russia and China are their main allies because they're the only people that board.
China, but that is a bit of a worry, I suppose, for America, isn't it? If China get involved, because they've got a lot of financial clout.
Apparently, there's going to be a third talk about nuclear disarmament because they had one where they were like sending love letters to each other. The last one in Vietnam was a bit more hostile. But
was that in the 60s?
No, like from Trump.
Oh, right, okay.
But I don't know what's going to happen. Mystery group breaks into Spain's North Korean embassy to reveal intelligence.
When I say it's a mystery group, presumably they did the revealing and then got out before anybody found out who they were, maybe?
Well, they were trying to get intel about maps, and I think the person that's sort of in charge of the Spanish embassy, they were suspicious of having a correspondence.
Right.
Not sure why Spain would be interested in North Korea. It's kind of far away, but
I don't know.
Guess the US is far away from a lot of places.
Maybe they're trying to get away from all the British expats.
I don't know.
New World Bank chief confirms commitment to environment.
This one was interesting because...
as long as they put their money where their mouth is.
With... I was watching Frankie Boyle's New World Order, and they made...
Which is fantastic.
Yeah. If you don't know who Frankie Boyle is, they're a Scottish comedian, and usually quite offensive, but also very insightful.
Read between the
lines. They said about... Because they say, generally the World Bank say, all we need is an extra 3% growth.
I know, that's bollocks, isn't it?
But that means that the world's economic output will double by 2024.
Yeah. I've never understood, I mean...
No, in 24 years, sorry.
I've understood it, but I've never understood how anyone can see it as a sustainable...
Yeah. To quote a Muse
policy.
song, an
It's
economy
the
based on endless
capitalism.
growth is unsustainable.
Yeah, but that is the default position, isn't it, of capitalism? Is everything is based on growth. It's not based on keeping things on an even keel.
Yeah.
It's
So they
and it's like
suggested
that.
capitalism
You
was the
can't.
problem.
It's like trying to inflate a balloon in a finite space. Even however strong it is, sooner or later it's going to run out of room. It's like it's just logic to me.
And on a slightly similar note, the Seychelles president, they've been quite vocal about saving oceans, and that's probably because they're right in the middle of the Indian Ocean.
Yeah, well, the other thing is the
Stand a
oceans.
lot to lose.
The oceans are going to save themselves. It's just whether or not they take us with them. Take us away from take us out of the equation.
Interestingly, talking about comedians' talk shows, have you heard that Jimmy Carr and Catherine Ryan do a show called The Fix on Netflix?
No, but I don't know who Catherine Ryan is.
She's Canadian. She was on Taskmaster.
Oh yeah, I know the one. Yeah.
And they sort of try to come up with weird ways to solve the world problem. And one that actually would kind of work, although you'd have to ask permission first, is if Krakatoa erupted, that would kind of solve things, actually, because it would create a layer of ash in the atmosphere, so less heat gets in, because that happened like 1,000 years ago or something, and the world's temperature dropped by a few degrees.
Or we could do what Frankie Boyle was saying.
I mean, loads of people would die.
And just concentrate on, not Frankie Boyle, the guy that was on the Frankie Boyle program was saying about basically just concentrating on the forest areas and sucking the carbon dioxide back down. And the ocean.
He also said that the Earth's gonna die due to climate change, but it doesn't matter because it's a pointless ball of shit.
Who, that guy?
No, Frankie Boyle.
Yeah, but that's one of those things when I'm saying read between the lines. He says those things, and it's the people that take it at face value that are just like, it's obvious to me
it's just
that
funny,
it's said ironically.
It's sort of self-deprecating for the Earth. Sort of like, well, we probably shouldn't be alive anyway, but...
In other words, what he's saying is essentially the way most people treat the world. Do you know what I mean?
I guess. Anyway, before we sort of set a target for 1 hour on this.
We did. We're going to go over, aren't we?
We'll maybe set a target for 1 hour on the news rundown.
Okay, and then whiz through the rest while I'm holding my penis.
Sanity. No, Jesus Christ. Fucking hell. Please don't. Science and technology.
I haven't got big enough hands. World's biggest aeroplane completes first flight. That's sorry. I was going to say that's appropriate.
Israeli spacecraft crashes on moon.
Sorry.
Why is that funny?
It's just like, is it not big enough that you... They obviously... Yeah, okay. Image of a black hole captured for the first time.
That, I quite like that. We'll talk about that though. Mm-hmm. Europe at risk of spread of tropical insect-borne diseases.
And new super-Earth may orbit Proxima Centauri.
Okay, first of all, world's biggest airplane.
I thought that was the Airbus 3 whatever that has just gone out of service or they've stopped making.
Well, they've made a new one.
The A380, was it?
It basically looks like two planes sellotaped together.
All right, this must be a new one then.
It genuinely looks like you've got one plane with its wings, and it's got it's sort of got two massive wings, and then that's connected to the other plane's wing. And
right. Kind of so it's got two fuselages?
It's like a plain version of a catamaran.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Israeli spacecraft. I've heard that they're planning on launching another one. They've not given up hope, but that's Israel sort of starting their own...
I bet the clangers are well pissed off.
Out-of-date reference inserted. I guess that's cool. I know China's doing that, but I thought Israel would be a bit more preoccupied with the West Bank.
Just linking this next one, the black hole one, with the whole sexist argument thing. I did read, and it is quite right, that a lot of people are or quite wrong, but there's a lot of people that have just been saying that she's the woman that's been used as the woman that's been announcing this is just being used as a kind of poster girl, whereas she actually came up with the technology that's kind of
whatever. People will be sexist arseholes.
yeah.
But that's Jesus Christ. I mean, like in the 70s, it wasn't that like a Maverick Theory or something.
I remember seeing the Black Hole film at the cinema, and I really liked it. Which they're remaking.
I haven't got an image up right now, but it's a bit blurry, but like it's millions of light years away. It's going to be a bit blurry. It's incredible that they have to get. I was watching a piece on it. They had to get 14 satellites from.
Well, they satellites. I thought they were radar telescopes.
Radio telescopes.
Yeah.
From mountains across the world.
Yeah.
And they all had to be in the exact right place in Earth's orbit.
Yeah.
And the weather had to be just right.
In every location.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is amazing that we've managed to get this. But just thinking about the fact that we've managed to capture a black hole on...
Well, we haven't captured one.
Well, it's not like with it's not necessarily a photograph, but it shows it's like the light gives off radio waves, that sort of thing. It radiates. But
it's a picture.
It's called M53, the galaxy. Oh, I did see a funny tweet from Matt Bellamy saying, caught an image of him, supermassive black hole.
Europe at risk of
Can you imagine if what we get to see 50 years from now?
It'll turn out to be some kind of space beast's anus.
I mean, we recently got gravitational wave. I'm ignoring that. And, I mean, we haven't photographed neutron stars because they're too small. I mean, we've seen, like, the effects of pulsars, but I don't think because, like, they're 10 kilometers large, although they're very dense. Like, thousands of times the mass of our sun. But we have, like, detected the residue of, like, platinum and gold that's created in a neutron star collision, which is cool.
Yeah.
Science is awesome right now. Get into it.
Science has always been awesome.
Yeah, but like it's a good time, like with learning lots of cool stuff about space. Okay, tropical insect-borne diseases. This is because basically the Mediterranean's becoming tropical because of climate change.
All right, okay. It's the Mediterranean's been fucking hot at certain times of year anyway, but I suppose it makes sense.
More extreme climates, it's actually having an effect that we're now going to begin to see. We might get malaria over here, who knows?
You sound hopeful.
Woo, got to catch them all.
New super Earth may orbit Proxima Centauri.
Not sure what a super Earth is.
Is it new though? Is it really new?
Well, it's not new, but it's newly discovered.
And it's another one of those may... I suppose they've maybe found some effects, some gravitational effects that could signify that, among other things.
They found a planet very similar to Earth around Proxima Centauri.
But
although it would take,
because it doesn't
if we started a mission right now, I think whilst he was still alive, Stephen Hawking did a program on this, and it would take about 100 years to get there, so you basically have to have a couple of generations on the same ship.
Yeah, there's some ace science fiction films based around that concept and series.
So the people that actually arrive there will have no memory of Earth, probably, unless they're babies when they leave and live to be very old.
Well, presumably they would give them information. Oh, excuse me.
But they'll have no actual memory of Earth.
Sorry. We're coming up to 5 minutes away from the hour. Okay. I'm about to fall off a cliff.
US politics.
Ilhan.
I'll start. Ilhan Omar embroiled in 9/11 row.
Democrats set deadline of April 23rd for Trump to release tax returns.
Trump plans to release migrants into sanctuary cities to target foes.
And US law chief says FBI spied on Trump campaign.
Okay, first of all, Ilhan Omar, if you don't know who they are, they're a congresswoman who's been under a lot of fire just for being a Muslim. Because America's right likes to do that and like claim that she's un-American and whatever.
Yeah.
We have an Islamophobia problem in the UK, but we don't have it as much where one Muslim being in parliament is that much of an issue.
Can't remember where it was I was reading it, but Islamophobia is somebody was saying is not the correct term. What it should actually be is Muslim phobia.
Yeah. But I'm not scared of Islam. I just disagree with it. But I mean, even so, like, I don't think any Islamic terrorism has actually happened in the US since 9/11. The row actually was over, this was in the broader context of a speech, and as always, things are taken out of context and made into a big thing. She said something along the lines of, some people did something on 9/11, which was criticised for being dismissive.
Yeah.
But I do think probably what she was getting at is that they're still reeling from it. 18 years from then?
Or more accurately, the people in power are still exploiting it.
Yeah. The right wing are still exploiting the fear from 9/11. And
which, I mean, there was, I don't know if it's still around.
That's
but
probably
there was
what she was getting at in a broader
conspiracy theory that it was actually the government that did it to...
Don't pay attention to that.
No, I know, but you know what I mean. It is kind of, they don't do themselves any favors by kind of clamping down so heavily. I mean, all of that bollocks at airport security stuff. None of that is actually for any other reason than to just placate the public. You know, it doesn't actually do any.
Yeah, the TSA doesn't stop anyone. Most of what they do is confiscate bongs. And send all their confiscated stuff onto Instagram.
Do they?
Yeah.
Okay.
The TSA, I don't.
So what they used to do?
It's just basically, we are protecting you. It's just sort of saying, it's a big statement of, you should feel safe.
One of the because I used to deliver lost luggage from the airport. Do you know what they used to do? And this is true. The airline that I used to work for, they'd have, every so often, because there'd be cases that went missing and lost their labels, so they couldn't trace the owners. So they'd be left with cases that they didn't know who they belonged to. So after a certain amount of time, they'd have an auction, and you could bid on cases, but you didn't know what was in them. So you could just bid on a suitcase, not knowing what was in it.
Full of dildos or drug money.
It could. But so if you ever lost your luggage, that could be what's happened to it.
It's just regular holiday stuff.
Anyway, I digress.
Although I do find it funny when they've got like the sketches of an actual footage of luggage handlers in Manchester just lobbing suitcases all over the place, and then in South Africa where they take it one by one off the.
But that used to be the funniest.
Belt.
That used to be the funniest thing in the world, because we used to handle a lot of luggage coming off of the luggage carousel, and when it comes through and the case is buzzing, because I mean it's obviously like an electric toothbrush or something, but it doesn't sound like an electric toothbrush when it's in someone's bag coming around on a carousel.
Okay. Trump's tax returns. I think basically, I'm not sure. They either Trump doesn't want to see how much tax he's dodged, or the fact that he's probably not a billionaire. It might just be a pride thing.
What are they going to do if he doesn't release them by then?
Well, they can legally actually make the IRS give them to them because they control the House.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Expose the fucker.
Okay. What's meant by releasing migrants into sanctuary cities to target foes? I think from the article I was reading, it's meant that because some of the areas along the border are actually heavily Democrat, kind of, because it's sort of immigrant communities. he's going to basically try and overload those cities.
With migrants.
Yeah, to try and get them to turn to his side, I guess.
Huh.
I don't think it's going to work, but it's still kind of just like... Or just actually allow asylum seekers and stop trying to close the border, because that's a kind of a legal move, but yeah. Apparently with the person that was in charge of the whole border kerfuffle, Kirsten Nielsen, she's now resigned. She was getting calls every morning to stop migrants coming through the border by doing illegal things like rejecting all asylum seekers.
Right.
Because Trump's an arsehole and that sort of thing. I don't know why he campaigns so hard on this. He doesn't have to, but maybe because he's Trump. Okay, last thing is just kind of like, no shit, Sherlock, FBI spied on Trump campaign. It kind of needs to investigate him.
Yeah. Is it spying? Is it really spying if you're just keeping a legal eye on a public campaign?
Yeah, it's just the FBI doing FBI things.
They did their job then, basically.
Yeah. I don't think the Mueller report's been released yet because they're still trying to redact things, but they have said that they're color coding it to explain why things have been redacted, but we don't necessarily know if they're telling the truth with that.
No.
Okay, on to a bit of lighter news. Weird news.
Yes. World's deadliest bird kills owner in Florida.
I mean, that's not really light news, but...
What was it?
I think it's something like a cassowary or something. All the weird animal news happens in Florida. Like, they've got alligators going into shops, and I swear something must, like, in the water must just make all the animals go over there go insane.
All right, okay.
I think there was a guy who was drunk and carried an alligator into a store, like a small one.
Yeah.
And he was asked about on the news. I was just like, wait, what? I don't remember this.
I did see a fucking massive alligator on a video, just like sort of walking along the side of the road, like.
Florida's crazy. And the other thing, theories emerged as to what happened to Julian Assange's cat.
Maybe he was on his way out for an interview. Had a shirt and tie on, or a collar and tie.
I think there's 4 leading theories as to what's happened, because obviously without Julian Assange there, what's it going to do?
Yeah. So...
The funny thing about it is that going slightly batshit crazy in the Ecuadorian embassy, he started dressing up his cat in a shirt and tie, like a collar and tie every day.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that kind of holds up my theory about like his sanity maybe after 7 years in the same place being maybe not quite right.
Yeah. But I just find it funny that everyone's wondering, what happened to the cat?
Yeah. What happened to it? How did it end up with a collar and tie on?
Well, no, like, where is it now?
Probably turn up with its own TV show next week or something.
I would love that. I would watch that.
Yeah, Julian Assange's cat.
Anyway, that's us finally done with the news rundown. We're around about our target, well, not for the whole episode, but round about our target time for that segment.
Okay, next segment, a brand new segment and a gap to introduce it.
Okay, so this is our brand new segment, Firebolt and Orbiter's Bits.
Meow.
You can thank the Orbiter for that title.
Oh, yeah, just throw money.
Did you just meow?
I am Julian Assange's cat.
Ah, it's in disguise. Then it turns out that that's secretly who Trump is.
Yeah, this is just a bit of a catch up with our news, isn't it? Sorry. In my news, I'm just
Can you stop? Like,
I still have a cough. That's part of my news. I still have a cough and it won't go
You sound
away.
like Sam the Eagle. Doing the Muppets.
So, what have you got going on, Firebolt?
Okay, well, I've got exams like my first exam is in less than 2 weeks. That's a music exam.
Ooh.
Fun.
How do you feel about your exams,
I have
Firebolt?
definitely not studied enough, but I did pretty well because over here we have. I'm guessing they have a similar thing in other places. Prelims, preliminaries, basically to just ascertain what either if you need any extra support or what sort of level you're working towards.
Yeah.
And I got A's in 6 of them and a C in the other one, roughly.
What was the C for?
German. I sort of last minute did the writing, so I didn't have time to learn it because you kind of have to write out a letter at applying for a job, and I did that after the Christmas holidays because I'd forgotten that we needed to do that. Not that I would have done it anyway if I remember, because I was very drunk at Christmas.
Shh, don't tell them that.
Anyway.
I'm a good dad.
I'm not saying you're not, but I was very drunk at Christmas. Yeah, but basically I just sort of panicked last minute and tried to learn it, but got like 8 out of 20 on that bit.
Well, I'm sure you'll do better next time.
Hopefully, but I don't...
You don't really need German, do you? But
I don't massively need German, it's just sort of nice to have.
sorry, Angela.
It's just sort of a nice to have, because
In case you do stay in
it's sort
Europe.
of a sciencey language as well. And also with the way Brexit's going, I'd be surprised if I need to stay in Europe at some point. But they generally have a much better attitude towards foreign languages, so quite a lot of places in Western Europe have a high percentage of English speakers. But I think I'll still pass, probably with a B, hopefully, but who knows. We'll see. Yeah, so I'm feeling all right with that. I should probably study more though. And also, other thing with me is I got a discretionary place for Aberdeen Youth Orchestra.
Aberdeenshire Youth Orchestra.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There
It's
is a
called
different
AYO.
thing. It is a different thing though. I think. Or is it? There is a
Well, it's-
Grampian Youth Orchestra as well.
It's in Aberdeen, no,
Yeah.
which is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, I go at some point in June for a
well, of course,
week-long.
the concert's in Stonehaven.
I go for a week-long course in June to
think it's 4
basically join an orchestra. Yeah, 4 days.
They're long days though. Like 9 till 9.
Most people are staying overnight. I decided not to because reasons, and yeah, it costs more. That's one of the reasons. But hopefully I'll do all right in that. We'll see. I've been practicing some of the pieces, and there's a good repertoire there.
There is.
Anyway, what is in your news other than the fact that
can't
you're
remember.
full of shit? You said that you had.
I think so. Yeah.
You suggested
no,
this segment because you had news.
I suppose my main bit was my own podcast, Better Call Paul, has had it's up to episode 7 next week, and
Oh, you're catching up with this one.
yeah, well, it's because it's weekly. It's getting to the point where it would have got very repetitive, or I'm having to. It's kind of settling into a format, shall we say? And we've been told that the honesty that we share, if you like, is one of the things that people like. I think I'm just. I've got a big change in my attitude towards everything, I think, coming up. And I'm talking it through. I'm using my podcast as like a psychiatrist's sofa. I'm just basically using
Basically,
it
you
for
just
me.
talking at the wall. And
Yeah,
maybe
I'm talking to
sometimes the wall will
myself.
listen.
And yeah, I'm talking to myself and basically just kind of it's taking a slightly different direction in terms of I'm being more honest because people seem to like that. So, I'm not worrying so much about what I think people want to hear. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, generally, if you're constantly worrying about whether you're being entertaining or not, that's not very entertaining in itself.
Exactly, yeah. So, yeah.
Higher self-esteem, you're interesting.
Hey?
Have higher self-esteem, you're interesting.
Yeah, I hope so. Well, but it doesn't matter anyway.
You said there was some news about the network.
Oh yeah, there's more shows coming out on the After Dark podcast network, of which we are a member in this incarnation, in my Better Call Paul incarnation, and in our Breaking Bollocks incarnation. But do you remember 2 episodes ago we had Ben on? He is recording his first podcast.
I keep thinking his name is Nick.
He's recording his first podcast.
He looks like a Nick
tonight, which will probably be out before this episode is actually, so it's probably out already. Called Same Shit, Different Day. And it's, according to Craig, we're getting a bit of a current affairs kind of department now, if you like, I suppose, on the network. He's basically searching out news items. I suppose it's nearest that we do to it would be the weird news bit, but basically news items from around the world that shouldn't be in the news, that just like ridiculous news stories, and basically ripping them apart. That's his thing. It's a solo thing. We've also got...
I always find that like when I'm trying to go over items that are actually worth putting in, that I just find ridiculous amounts of just guff. I mean, there's loads of stuff about sports that I just don't care about, but the amount of stuff about...
He did invite people to contribute, to send him ideas for items and stuff.
Like one of the top stories today whilst I was researching was why Meghan Markle can't keep royal gifts or something. Royal wedding gifts.
Okay.
No idea why. I don't care. Why is the monarchy still relevant in the 21st century?
And we also have a brand new podcaster on the network as of today called Simon Isbell, I believe, is doing one called Simon Says Pod, which is, I think he's a postman from what I remember, but he listens to podcasts on his post round. Ours included.
Are we doing a news bit on the spat?
On the what?
Oh yeah. I
thought it was
it might have been cleared up by now, hopefully, because they kind of run the network.
Yeah. After Dark Podcast News. After Dark Podcast Network News. The latest episode of Is After Dark I found quite amusing because there was a departure from the episode, wasn't there? Oh, you haven't heard it yet. I'm gonna play it to you.
No.
Nick and Craig fell out. It was funny.
I've only ever walked out.
I'm not taking sides. I don't agree or disagree with either of you, but I found it very entertaining to actually hear somebody storm off on a podcast. I've never heard that before, and it was great.
Rage quit.
Entertainment quality. Thank you. You made my day.
Hopefully they're patching.
Makes me feel a bit better about our falling out at the end of the last episode. But I edited it out. Well, at least they left it in. But I think that's much I can't be asked to edit. So
apparently, Craig was criticising Dumbo despite not going to see it, and that's why Nick was getting angry. This is just all like catty drama stuff.
Gossip, inside gossip.
So Craig said this thing, and then Nick said this thing, and then
and he said,
Craig walked out.
He said,
"Oh, bitch."
And he said, "Oh, I've had enough of this. I'm off," and put the phone down.
Very Liverpudlian response.
I hope we don't get kicked off the network now for bitching behind people's backs. Well, we're not doing it behind your backs. We're doing it to your faces.
We're doing drama news.
Yeah. This is the what do you call it? This is like our tabloid section.
Oh, I see. Do you have any new stuff in your life that's not really personal?
Not specific and immediate, but a general change of direction and attitude, I think, is the news. And it will become apparent in time.
Hopefully for the better. He's been an utter arsehole so far. Last 15 years have been shit. I'm joking.
You're telling me.
This is just the depression podcast now. Anyway,
yeah.
If we're all done with our bits,
yeah, let's. I'm sorry, I'm dying.
Hopefully next episode you're not.
Actually, can I introduce this next section with that?
Okay.
I'm introducing the next section. Yeah. Ready?
I need to actually get it up, the thing. Oh, what have I done?
You need to get up the thing.
Shut up. Okay.
And it's about Netanyahu.
Fucking hell. If you do not know, he is currently Prime Minister. Does Israel have a Prime Minister or the President?
Yeah.
Sure. Of Israel, and in my opinion, he's a dick. Because he's not very fond of Palestinians, from what I can tell.
Are you being anti-Semitic?
No.
Are you sure?
I definitely think, actually, looking at just what we've got here, this will be an interesting one, because you were saying it before we began that you would like to get opposing points of view being represented.
This is one thing. If anyone wants
and when Fox News gets involved, that's always what you can find.
If anyone wants to let us know if they've found an article about the same thing that says the opposite from different news sources, because I'm really interested in covering the information wars, if you like.
Well, there's that, but I think what's more interesting is, and I've always found this with Fox News, whenever there's something bad about Trump, they'll just go through a complete nonsense story, like I don't know, is it something about cutting down racist trees? That's an actual segment that they did.
Cutting down racist trees?
I think they were planted to like make the white neighborhoods not have to look at poverty.
Oh, okay. Unless you come to Britain, you don't have to be in a coloured neighbourhood to...
Yeah, we don't really have as much segregation here, but there's still...
No, poverty,
you've still got the
everywhere.
southeast, that's basically just rich people or retired people, as far as I can tell, but, whatever. Right, getting to Netanyahu, though. The way that people are actually reporting it will be interesting, because they'll have different... obviously, they have different biases, but quite a lot of people are going from how the US relates to Israel.
Mm.
And very much Trump's and Netanyahu's relationship.
Well, there are a lot of Jews in America, aren't there? No, they're not.
It's not.
They seem to have a lot of
widespread religion.
I thought there was quite a lot of... They're definitely represented in film and comedy quite heavily.
More as just sort of the tokens, I would say. But
really,
percentage of religions in America, it's a very small amount. I mean, they've got a ridiculous amount of Christians. Over here, we've got I think now 51 or 52% no religion.
It's just a number of times that I've. It's not really occurred to me that that there've been
1.9%.
I would say that's. I would say
it's the highest non-Christian faith, but it's still
I suppose
quite a small amount.
I don't know. For some reason, there seem to be Jewish comedians seem to be quite.
Well, it
Jewish
tends
seem to be quite
be
prevalent in comedy.
It tends to be,
unless they're not necessarily of the religion Jewish, but more of the nationality Jewish.
Well, like ethnicity.
Yeah.
I never get that, because like people will try to say, "Oh, that person's got a big nose," and I'm like,
yeah. What does
that have to do with anything?
Anti-Semitic mean? Is a Semite a religious Jew, or
I think that's
Jew?
Talking about the ethnicity of Ashkenazi Jews.
What's an Ashkenazi?
It's like a background of the Jewish ethnicity. I've heard it a lot when talking about like DNA tests, when they did that like 23andMe thing. That's one of the categories for background.
Yeah, I feel really kind of out of my depth talking about religions and race and sexuality and anything that.
But generally, the reason that you find a lot more representation in comedy from minorities than necessarily are there is because they've got a unique perspective. They've actually got something new and interesting to say, and also they understand. They understand that part of life. They understand race issues if they're black.
Well,
they understand they can make fun of Jewish people.
Exactly. Whereas like a black person is going to be a lot more able to take the piss out of other black people than a white person can and get away with it.
But like one of the funniest comedy routines I've seen, I can't remember the guy's name. It was on Live at the Apollo. There's a sort of really macho Scottish guy. And he does all his jokes, and then towards the end he reveals that he's gay, which is something that he uses to effect because it's quite a shock. It's not something that you'd expect.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's that ability to just sort of use that, and also being able to talk about sensitive subjects because we laugh as a way to cope with that.
Yeah.
But also we feel more okay laughing about it if someone's telling... So the person telling it actually knows what they're talking about.
Yeah.
It's like, I think Ricky Gervais is a good writer, but I don't think he's a good comedian. Personally, that's my opinion. He did a whole routine on, a whole bit on Caitlyn Jenner, saying that she identifies as a woman, I can identify as a chimpanzee.
He's not a good stand-up comic.
Yeah, it's a lazy joke that it has a little understanding of the actual issue there.
Yeah.
So, a trans comedian would be able to actually make it.
I don't find his involvement with the Carl Pilkington stuff funny either. I think Carl Pilkington's funnier on his own without having the piss taken out of him by Ricky Gervais and the other guy.
I quite like Stephen Merchant.
Yeah. But
he's just sort of going along with Ricky Gervais usually.
Yeah, Ricky Gervais, I liked him in The Office because
he's a good writer
at the time.
That's what I think.
There's a film that he's in.
Anyway, can we get to Netanyahu? We've been talking a long time about comedy. We can get to that in our Breaking Bollocks episode about comedy.
Oh, okay.
Right, okay. So New York has gone with the Trump-Netanyahu alliance. I'm not sure what sort of bias the New Yorker has. It's not the New York Times. I'm guessing that's more talking... I mean, by the looks of it, it's looking... not necessarily the most positive, but from what I've seen, Trump has allied himself with despots around the world. Erdogan in Turkey, Bolsonaro in Brazil. Pretty much almost went with Kim Jong-un.
Yeah, yeah.
If they didn't have that standing rivalry already. I think he supported that despot in the Philippines and the military.
He gets on quite well with Theresa May.
Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. He doesn't get along well with Theresa May. Compared to the US, the UK is actually pretty sensible.
Yeah.
And like our conservatives are like their Democrats.
Yeah, yeah.
Probably more left wing than that, actually. That's just the Overton window over there.
Who's Benny Gantz?
Benny Gantz.
Who has called to congratulate Prime Minister...
This is from the Jerusalem Post. So this is from like local... I'm assuming you know where Jerusalem is. Okay. Blue and white head, apparently. I'm assuming that's some sort of special interest group that is standing behind Benjamin Netanyahu. Or it might be a party.
I was going to say, is he not the... Was he? By the look of it, it looks like he was maybe competing against him.
He's one of the other right-wing party leaders,
right, okay.
I think. Okay, the other things, because we got a bit off track there. I find.
Do you?
Okay, we'll go through the stories here, and then I'll give my own opinion, I guess. Okay, Fox News has gone with US benefits by Netanyahu's apparent victory in Israel's election. A lot of people are calling it an apparent victory because,
Yeah.
I mean, it's CNN saying it's very tight.
I had heard there was one point at which I think there were news sources saying that the opposition had won.
But
they were both claiming victory at one point.
He's possibly being indicted as well, so that might not be that he's winning.
Another one. These politicians, I don't know.
That was for a lot of using like state funds for champagne and bribing newspapers.
As you do.
Netanyahu may have won, but Israel's political landscape has fundamentally changed. That's from Haaretz.
Well, that seems to be happening all over the place, really, doesn't it?
I kind of hope it does change, because
it would be good if it could change in America.
I think there's quite a lot of demonization of Arabs over there by the press, and that's why a lot of people are still standing behind Netanyahu, because they think it's the Palestinians' fault that this war's still going on.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that it's all Israel's fault, but I'm going to definitely say that IDF, Israeli Defense Force, bears quite a lot of responsibility from what's been happening. Like illegally not annexing, but occupying West Jerusalem. And also Netanyahu saying that he wants to annex the West Bank.
And hinting that he's carried out the latest Syria strike.
Oh, right. Didn't hear about that.
It's at the bottom there.
Oh, right.
The Times of Israel, sorry.
Okay, so, yeah, from the Jerusalem Post again, Pompeo says Netanyahu's annex West Bank talk won't hurt peace prospects. Mike Pompeo is, I think, some security advisor to Trump.
Right.
But to be honest, I don't see how him talking about annexing parts of a country will not cause problems for the peace process.
Idea.
What?
A format idea.
What?
I think it should be possibly a regular thing that we talk perspectives until I've had enough, and then I just start arguing with you and go, "Can we finish now? I've had enough."
Okay. Well, do you have any thoughts on the matter that you want to get out there? I'll just scroll down here as you scan.
I just think that, well, I'm not comfortable with the role of Israel in the region, and nor am I comfortable with the fact that I'm not comfortable with any of our involvement or America's involvement in the Middle East at all in general, especially our relationship with Saudi Arabia. I know that's not directly linked to this, but certainly America's relationship to Israel doesn't seem fair.
I'm assuming that's an Israeli newspaper, or it might be a Palestinian one. It seems to be quite anti Netanyahu here, because they're saying that I've not heard of this Camgate intimidation tactic. It's straight out of Jim Crow playbook. If you don't know, Jim Crow laws were something used to solidify apartheid in America in the 30s, I think. Before that, actually.
Right.
And also, Egypt generally isn't very fond of Israel, because they've had some wars over Sinai, I think.
It's all a bit.
Can Israel survive Netanyahu? I don't mind Israel being a thing, because I think it is a good idea to have a home for displaced Jews, because they've kind of been fucked up throughout history. They kind of deserve some sort of reconciliation, but kicking a bunch of
fuck up other people, it's like, you know.
And I definitely preferred.
It's not your turn now. It's like
the previous government. I mean, I wasn't alive when they were in, that managed to negotiate for the Oslo Declaration, which now makes what the current government is doing illegal, but the US doesn't care, so they're the world police, so it doesn't really matter.
Fuck yeah.
But also, something very quickly here, on eve of Israel's election, Netanyahu thanks Trump for sanctioning Iran at his request. Oh god, there's so much. Like, I know the Cold War between Iran and the Middle East, and then you got Iraq, which is just still a mess, and Afghanistan. I know that's slightly further.
But weren't Russia? I mean, Iran borders Russia, doesn't it? Does it?
There's so much complicated involvement.
I know Russia were in favour of the Syrian. Was it Assad?
Yeah, in favour of the Syrian government.
Did Russia not on Iran's side as well, or?
I don't.
Oh my God, could they change sides?
Well, Saudi Arabia's on the US side, and Iran's against Saudi Arabia generally. So
Yeah,
that's
just because us and America sell them weapons,
especially during the Cold War. I think they were,
and they've got lots of oil.
Iran. But that's going too far back into history. Speaking of, time for our next segment.
Oh yeah,
you look tired.
Last segment. This will be a quickie. Meow. So mine is actually on this day in history. It was last year.
Should we quickly? We did this last time. We just went over loads of different things. This is from the date that this is being released, or at least it's planned to.
April the 18th.
Oh, I just saw another interesting one. Can I do two? Oh, I don't mind. Okay,
yeah, just whatever. Just as long as we get on with it. Mine is, well, if you're doing two, you do yours first then.
Okay.
Your first one first.
1948, International Court of Justice opens at The Hague in Netherlands.
Wow.
Still astounding today. And still people are having a go at it for things that it has nothing to do with the EU, but you know, whatever. And that's very interesting to do with the Nazis as well, because that would have been set up to prosecute them.
All right, okay.
For war crimes.
Yeah.
I know they had, I'm not sure when the Geneva Convention was set up, but the Nuremberg trials, I think, were done by the International Court of Justice.
Mm.
And ever since, they've done a relatively good job of trying to stop. I mean, the world's still a mess, but they've done what they can to try and stop dickheads around the world from doing things illegally. Relating to our previous one, I suppose, I think they were involved with Israel.
Do you?
Yeah, well, they're involved in loads of things. It's International Court of Justice. I don't know. The other one that I just saw below that, 1949,
yeah,
the Republic of Ireland withdraws from the British Commonwealth.
Interesting.
It's...
So mine was from last year. Saudi Arabia's first cinema in over 35 years opened last year with Black Panther.
I thought that was the Emoji Movie.
Did you?
Swear.
This was a private screening.
Oh, right. I think the first public one was the Emoji.
It followed the lifting of the cinema ban in an ongoing modernisation drive by the reformist Crown Prince. So the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia is now modernising the country by reopening cinemas.
Still hangs gays. Mm-hmm.
You went there. An AMC are reopening cinemas there. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, 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 blah.
Do you have a second one?
No, that was it. But it is actually, Black Panther is an interesting choice because it's a film about a young monarch of a fictional African jungle kingdom, which apparently has drawn parallels with the Saudi prince.
Wonder if they picked that specifically because of that.
This is a story about a young royal who transforms a nation. That might sound familiar to some of you, Aaron joked. Yeah, there you go.
Another one interesting fact. I know we meant to just do two, but France, West Germany and Benelux form European Steel and Coal Community.
1951.
Which merged into the European Economic Community and then into the EU later. That's interesting, I suppose. Anyway, we should probably wrap up.
Yeah.
This is slightly shorter, but hopefully we'll try and we'll do what we can to try and make it entertaining, I guess. But it's funny because at the beginning
you waffle.
Sorry,
you do. You take like 3 times more words than you need to say something.
You do as well. You just repeat yourself lots as well. But you also just go off on random tangents about like Jewish comedy. Anyway,
They.
Yeah, we'll try and keep it relatively. It's funny because we shut up. You keep interrupting. That's why I have to keep repeating
laughing. I'm laughing.
We were originally going to have this as between half an hour and 45 minutes.
Well, we've only
and have it like really like professionally done, but that's not us.
Come on then, let's call it a day or a fortnight.
Anyway, I've been Firebolt.
I've been the Orbiter.
And this has been...
Oh, we were going to do a promo thing, weren't we, at the end? Yeah, go.
Do we have time for that?
Just go follow all our things, subscribe to all our doobies, review our things, and be a wonderful follower for the rest of your life. Thank you. Bye.
Shouldn't we just do like another outro recording
at some point? Jinx. Dick.
Hello again. Did I say goodbye? I've been Firebolt.
I've been the Orbiter.
And
I'm
this
confused.
has been the Bollocks Report, episode 8.
Bye.
Bye.
I didn't kill you. Yet.
Please do.
This podcast is part of the After Dark Podcast Network.